So you've decided to charge someone with a provincial offence, but you aren't going to use a ticket. This could be for a few reasons. 1. You're outside the 30-day statute of limitations. 2. There's no short-form wording and set fine for the offence committed. Or 3. To compel a court appearance because your defendant has received multiple tickets before and isn't getting the message. You start by completing what's called an information. This is a document which formally charges a person or persons with an offence or series of offences, referred to as counts. Just like a Part 1 proceeding, there is a time limit on how long you have to charge a person, but instead of 30 days, it's 6 months. So how do we do this? Step 1. Fill out the information. This could be either a single count or multiple count information depending on your case. The top information is pretty straightforward: who you are, who was charged, when they committed the offense, and the approximate location of the offense. Next, you have to state what exactly they did. There's no set wording for these offenses, so you have options. You can write them out in a few different ways. In popular language without technical averments or allegations of matters not essential to be proved, the actual wording from the statute, or in words that are sufficient to give the defendant notice of the offense for which they're charged. Basically, as long as the defendant or any reasonable person would be able to figure it out, you're fine. Fill in what section of what law they violated. Next, we need to fill out the summons. Most of the information you just filled out is duplicated here, but this is the actual document that compels the defendant to court, so you will need to know where and when the first appearance will be. The location and dates will vary depending on your jurisdiction, so the best way to be sure is to call your provincial offences court office and ask for a first appearance date. Now, this is important. Be sure to tell the court staff what kind of charge it is and who you are. Sometimes first appearance dates are different for police than they are for other agencies, and some types of infractions are heard on different dates. Being clear with court staff will help you avoid compelling your defendant to court on the wrong day. They probably aren't happy to be there in the first place and may have had to take time off work. So now that you've completed your information and summons and you have your first appearance date, it's time to go see the Justice of the Peace. Familiarize yourself with intake dates and times, as this will vary by jurisdiction. It's also prudent to be aware of court closures. Justices attend seminars from time to time, and you don't want to drive all the way to the court only to find that there's nobody there to receive your information. Quick technical note: print these provincial offence documents on canary yellow paper, double-sided. If you live in an area with both a POA intake and a criminal intake court, don't use the criminal court justice for a provincial court charge. They really don't like mixing these things up. Remember, you have 6 months to lay a charge. If there's no sitting justice in POA court for a few days, you likely have lots of time to do it later. Typically, you sign in at the court office and wait for the Justice of the Peace to call you into their office. Procedures may vary based on jurisdiction. Here, you briefly outline the charges, and the Justice of the Peace will review the information. You'll be asked to either swear or affirm that the information contained in the document is true. This conversation is typically audio recorded. The Justice will take the information and sign the summons. The defendant is now formally charged. Now they just need to be served notice. But there is an exception to this order. It is possible to serve a summons before the information is laid if you find the defendant at or near the place where the offense was committed. This form is different and is actually in the back of your Part 1 ticket book. They're typically pink in color instead of green. Your local POA office may also have specific summons books you can use. After this summons is served, you still have to file an information with the Justice of the Peace and sign the Affidavit of Service on the reverse of the summons. Now back to a regular summons. It's time for service. So you have your summons, make a copy, and find your defendant. Unlike a Part 1 ticket, there are a couple of different ways to serve a Part 3 summons. In person, by leaving it at the defendant's last known place of abode with someone who appears to be over the age of 16 years. Make sure to establish this person's name and hand them the summons copy. There are other ways to serve a summons on someone outside of Ontario or a corporation, but these are not as common. For reference, see Section 26 of the Provincial Offences Act. So you're almost done. Now it's time to prove that you've served the summons. This is where the Affidavit of Service comes in. Fill this out. Take it, along with the original summons, to either a Justice of the Peace or a Commissioner of Oath and swear or affirm that the summons was served in the way described on the affidavit. You can usually find a Commissioner of Oath at your local City Hall, but often the clerks at the POA office are also commissioners themselves. So your defendant is charged and served and the process is complete. To recap, fill out your information, get your court appearance date and complete your summons, attend POA intake court and swear out or affirm your information, and have your summons issued. Serve your defendant. Complete your affidavit of service, swear it out, and submit the documents to the court office. If you're using an on-the-spot summons, fill out the summons with the first appearance date. Serve the summons. Complete the information and affidavit of service, attend intake and swear out those documents and submit them to the court. And the final step, go home, leave work at the office, and unwind.